Hi, and welcome back to Food Farms and Chefs. And I'm very excited because we have somebody who is speaking on behalf of an internationally acclaimed beer and brewery, Forged Irish Stout, which I have Trevor Karen, who is the co founder, and Kristen Barnett, who is the co founder of Culinary Creators, speaking on behalf of Forged Irish Stout. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. I think it's very exciting because I'm a beer lover. I know Jean is also a beer lover, but I am a huge stout lover. And Forged Irish Stout is not just created in over in Ireland, they brought it here. So tell us a little bit about first your history and your association with Forged Irish Stout and its creator, of course, Connor.
Take the floor, KB.
Sure. We got in touch with Connor's team this summer, actually through Trevor's wife, who works, her family's business is one of the larger beer distributors on the East Coast. And so we were excited to partner with them to bring Forged Irish Stout
To the US. And
touring the brewery.
yeah,
Yeah. And seeing the whole the whole site.
of course. And what was it like? How exciting was it? Because I know that Conor McGregor, who is a MMA, like a professional um champion winner of MMA, what was it like working with him and having him come over here to bring his beer to the US? Because I know that he's expanding internationally and he's a, it's come with a large reception, like a positive reception for it. And I know that it's supposed to have a smooth mouth feel. So um
Certainly.
I don't know which one of you can take this question, but what are the tasting notes and does he make it? Because I think that he also has a patent to help it become even more creamy as it pours.
Yeah, it was a bit of a backdrop. Um, Connor was obviously massively successful with his first product, Proper 12. And the genesis of this was he bought his childhood pub in Crumlin, Dublin, called the Black Forged Inn. It's a pub he grew up going to since he was a kid. And him and the co-founders of the brand really wanted to say, why don't we need a traditional Irish stout? We need something that speaks, authentically there. And over the course of 3 years, they started developing the stout with a world-renowned brewery called the Porterhouse in Dublin. And when it was ready for market, the intention was just to sell it from the pub, exclusive to the Black Forge Inn. But over the course of time, it became a fan favorite. It won a silver award in a major beer award category. And quickly thereafter, they started distribution throughout Ireland, the UK. And as Kristen mentioned, that's when we had the pleasure of getting introduced to Connor, seeing his excitement for the beer, meeting the team, equally as important, who have years of experience in the beer industry. And since then, launched live in New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey. Chris and I are heading up to Boston in 2 weeks for that launch, and more to come. But to answer your question, it's 100% Irish ingredients. It's a sessionable beer, 4.5% in alcohol, 140 calories. So when you think about it, it looks deceivingly, it is dark, but it's deceiving because it's a very, very easy drinkable beer. And as we all know, there hasn't been many people, many other brands other than a lot of kind of craft brands, which are amazing in the stout category for a long time. So we see this as a tremendous opportunity for someone with the megaphone of someone like McGregor, who's an international superstar, mixed with an authentic beer that comes from his home, getting placed in the US. And we're rolling it out market by market. And yeah, so it's an incredible journey so far and just the beginning.
Well, I'm a huge fan of your beer and your product. You know, I with my background, I'm into craft brewing, and we have a craft brewery, and we have a chocolate stout. So ours is, it's very different than what you guys do. And, but I love the hints of coffee, the hints of chocolate that come in yours, but it's not an overwhelmingly heavy, stout like a lot of people brew. And it's just a very unique product. And then obviously, the addition, and I love that you guys did this, the little widget, the little device that you have, little plastic device that allows you to pour a perfect 10 every time, so that no bartending skills necessary. And that's such an important part of the stout experience as well, is that head, that cream that you get atop. So, I don't know who had the idea that we need to do this, but my goodness, that was a brilliant one.
I appreciate that kind note on the beer. I think Kristen would agree. We have to give all the credit to uh, the team, the Dublin team, and our head of U.S. sales, who have been in the stout market for years and realize what a quality product can be like and what it needs to be like. And as mentioned, they spend so much time developing this. And also to mention that Connor recently, in the development process with Porterhouse, ended up buying the brewery. So now it's 100% owned, 100% McGregor owned, and the canning lines, um, you know, are now in house, so to speak.
Well, and that I'm sure is going to lead to many more great products coming out as well. Hopefully maybe you'll talk to us a little bit about that. Is there plans for some other products or similar? I mean, obviously the base that you have now, the experience that you have now is one that, if you haven't had this product yet, you need to go and find it in the markets you can find it, because it really is a different and unique product, and certainly worth the drinking experience. And yet, as you said, the calorie content is low. The fact that your ABV is as low as it is too, which is very unlike a stout. I mean, stouts normally have a much bigger ABV. So, it's really nice to see that you created a product that everybody can sit down and enjoy, but truly is in that stout category, that stout nature.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're really focused on penetrating the market here and worldwide with this current one, and who knows what the future brings. I'm sure there'll be more things to come when it comes to other product shoot offs from this, flagship.
No, I'm glad that Gene mentioned it, because I was gonna mention it too, was the ABV was, much lower than an atypical stout beer, because I love stout beers, but, like, I'll drink one and probably feel relatively tipsy. Uh, this is something where, it's much more approachable as far as the ABV is concerned, or, if you wanna grab a beer or 2 and you're a stout lover like myself, like, you can, you know? And so to me, that was really important, because I was just like, I love stouts. Now, Kristen, I don't know if this is a question for you or for Trevor, but I know that Conor McGregor also wanted a lot of symbolism on his can. So I know that there's a lot that represents him and his family and his lineage and everything. So I don't know if you wanted to go over some of the symbolic representation of Connor and his brand.
Yeah, of course. So one thing that's noticeable about the can is that it's obviously branded in this really like beautiful kind of stone aesthetic, and it features very prominently a sword on it. That's a claymore sword that's actually from the McGregor family crest. And on it, you'll see some etchings. That etching actually is the McGregor name, but done in the ancient Irish dialect that is no longer used, but is featured on the sword from their family crest. And so it's not meant to be hitting you over the head with the fact that this is all about Conor McGregor, and rather what's really exciting about this beer is that it alone as a product is a world-renowned, high-quality beer that has been crafted out of their brewery in Dublin after years of development. And so the product itself stands on its own 2 feet. It's just that McGregor being a part of it is an incredible addition to really bringing to market this new stout with a really approachable flavor profile, mouthfeel, and all of that goodness. So that approach is reflected on the can, which we're really proud of that design and really excited about the brand itself and what it stands for.
And I'm excited for, you guys and for him as well, because he doesn't have just the beer out. He does, as you had mentioned, he has proper number 12 out, which is an Irish whiskey. And then I believe he just came out with proper apple.
Yeah, they just launched a new flavor of Proper 12, which is Proper Apple. Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, but I'm gonna give it back to Gene, because he had asked you guys if you have anything else that is in the works, as far as the craft beer brewing is concerned. So obviously we can't discuss or disclose some trade secrets, but do you know if Connor has some beers that are being developed over at his brew pub?
So as you might imagine, we're not, building this company just to launch only one singular stout. Most certainly, especially having the connection to the Black Forge Inn, there's ample opportunity for product development and testing with the thousands and thousands of tourists that come from all over the world to visit Connor's Pub in Dublin. That being said, we definitely can't speak to what is in that pipeline of development. Just that the team obviously is very excited about the opportunity that Forged as a company presents to bring a number of exciting products to market.
So about how it's been received, I mean, the United States beer market is certainly a very interesting place now. It's almost like we have caught up to the rest of the world, Ireland and Germany and other places in the world when it comes to understanding what quality beer is. Not that I want to say anything negative, but I mean, when Bud and Bud Light and Miller Lite were your biggest brands in the country, it probably doesn't speak well to the quality of the beer we drink in this country. And it's nice to see this product come over, and it's nice to see obviously the craft beer movement taking off. But your product is one that, in a good way, is a super high quality product. How is it being received in the general market? Because it is a little bit more complex. It's a lot more complex. It's a lot more flavorful, with chocolate and coffee and other, hints in there. It's certainly a product that a lot of, Bud Light, Miller Light people are not going to understand. So, what's the general feel you're getting as you open up and new markets?
Well, I mean, at a high level, we've seen incredible reception, not only from current stout drinkers who are trying it for the first time and seeing something similar yet different to what they're used to with the products in the market, but as you mentioned, Gene, we've seen this craft beer boom for the past, 10 plus years, and all the IPAs and all the different types of lagers that have come out, and there hasn't really been an approachable, more mainstream, lighter type of stout. And so that's been a very interesting and amazing reception to see. You are having light beer drinkers try it for the first time and go, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable. I never thought I would like a dark beer." And then as I mentioned, you're having traditional kind of really almost consummate professionals who are stout drinkers being like, "Wow, this is actually something I can really get behind. It's lighter, it's coffee notes, it's a little easier on the palate." And so in the short history of this brand in the US, Gene, of what, 3 months now, it's been very eye-opening for Chris and I to be boots on the ground and to see such strong reception in our key markets.
And that's really wonderful for me to hear as being someone in the craft beer uh, business, because it gives me hope that people are, educating themselves and learning more about what a stout should be. And that's, it, a stout. I love the craft beer movement. I'm not an IPA guy by any means. With that amount of hops that go in there, it's kind of like adding extra garlic to food. You can make a mistake and nobody's going to notice. But making a stout, you have to produce just a 100% perfect product, or whatever mistake is going to shine through, and it's not going to be a great product. So, you mass producing this product, you really do have something going in that aspect, because there is no room for error in a stout. It has to be done in a particular way, and you want those notes, and in your particular situation, the coffee notes and a little bit of chocolate and just everything that goes with it, the richness. You really just nailed something on there that, a lot of the IPA people and everything, I wasn't sure how that would be received. So it's so positive to me to hear that it's just taking off in the markets.
Yeah, I that's a great point. And Chris and some people could see it as a challenge. We see it as a massive opportunity. Is that obviously the stout market is a smaller percentage of the total beer market consumption at the current moment. And to your point, there's not a lot of room for error for something great. And that's why we're so blessed and happy that the team, all credit to them, has really produced something that has sustained, it's sustainable, and it's something that we can build off of. So we love the opportunity to try to entertain and educate and get people turned on to this stout, because you see, as I said, you see new eyes say I never had it. You see current eyes who are really interested in it. So it's a really unique opportunity that we see to try to break in.
So obviously, with the addition of the device that pours the perfect head, whatever you want to call it, the widget, the whatever you want to call this device, which is a very cool concept. Do you now see, and I haven't really researched this, do you now see other companies trying to copy that idea? And obviously, that is truly the best form of flattery when they're doing something like that. But is that something you're starting to see in the market from, looking back at other people trying to experiment with that?
I can't speak to that as much, but Kristen, you might have a perspective that I don't on seeing other things in the market that have similar tie-ins to the technology.
I think that we generally understand that the technology we've deployed here is a huge barrier to entry. And so we actually kind of view this as a singular investment that helps differentiate us in a field where like primary craft beer innovation has taken the place of like kind of that whole milk stout category, or really just been seen in more of the traditional IPAs that we've all seen become double IPAs, triple IPAs, etc. And so for us to really take this stand, invest in the nitro canning line, of which there are not many globally, feels like our real kind of stake in the ground around how seriously we're taking this project, how much Conor has invested in it personally to make sure that this brand is a success. And so we don't see a lot of competition when it comes to the general, like what are the new brands investing in this specific technology, because we understand that like this in and of itself is a barrier to entry, and we're so fortunate to be able to invest in this technology to make a fabulous beer that then can be canned and sent all around the world.
Well, you certainly succeeded in doing that, and it's so exciting to see other markets for you and opening up. And I know that in a short amount of time in Philadelphia, there's a little bit of buzz, and people are, serious beer people are starting to talk about it. But also, the middle of the road beer crowd is starting to talk about it, and that's really in my in my mind, that's the biggest market there is that middle of the road that likes beer, that's familiar with different styles, and you're hitting them and saying, wow, this is really different, really unique, and it truly is.
That's a great point, Gene.
Now, on that note, we ran out of time, unfortunately, but we have fun talking to everyone. So let our listeners know where to find you guys and where to find the beer.
So you can
Awesome.
find.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Kimmy.
You can find more about Forged Irish Stout on our Instagram at Forged Irish Stout. And actually, within the next few days, our website will be updated with a beer tracker at forgeirishstout.com. And so you can see which retailers have it locally around you. We're really excited and hope that people follow along the journey. It's going to be great.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on Food Farms and Chefs.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
both. Pleasure to meet you both, and thank you.
Thank you.
And we will be right back after this short break. Hi, and welcome back to Food Farms and Chefs. And I am very excited to bring another aspect of everything that we love about indulging in drinking. The event producer for the Bucks Beer Bash, Jeff Rapp, is on with Food Farms and Chefs. Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
And I'm happy that you're here too. So, this is going to be the inaugural beer festival for a local brewery, but it is going to it is open for all breweries, for all vendors to come out and for people to come out in order to enjoy the festivities. So, tell us a little bit about the Bucks Beer Bash and what people can look forward to.
So we are really fortunate folks that live in Bucks County in the area. We just have a very rich uh, and a diverse group of breweries, distilleries, wineries in the area, and with the focus, on craft beer specifically. And we thought it would be really appropriate to come up with a beer festival that just really focuses on the local aspect of craft brew. Some of the beer fests you go to will feature beers from all over the country, which is great for people that aren't going to travel to different states to be able to experience. But most of those beers are available in a distributor if you go. This is really focused on the local people that are doing their craft, literally and figuratively. And we're very excited to be able to get as many as the local brewers as we can into a really lovely facility with the Fuge, and have a really great beer festival in a part of winter, at the end of winter, where there's really not much going on anyway. So I think we're very excited to bring it to the folks in this area.
And I mean, I of course I would have to travel to you, but I love beer festivals because it really any beer festival you go to, you know, it's you can feel the energy. People are always in a good mood because who doesn't love a beer in their hand or some food to like munch on? Because I'm wondering if you're gonna have those the pretzels, the pretzel necklaces that everybody walks around with too.
Well, I don't know that we're going to be offering those, but if people feel compelled to bring them with them around their neck, they are certainly welcome to. Uh, we will have much more robust food options available to them in their big Bavarian pretzels. Those might be a little big for being around the neck, but I always found that humorous when I saw those beer necklaces, especially like during summer events when people are sweating and going from this. Yeah, I don't know that I would want one of those, but feel free to bring it with you if you'd like.
It's part of the ambiance is seeing the individuals with those basically pretzeling Christmas tree pretzeling their neck, but because we just got out of Christmas. But I mean, you had mentioned more robust menu, and I'm going to then throw back to the fact that you guys have the fusion, you have tranquility that and your bar menu and your food menu. I've eaten there before. The food there is really, really, it's fantastic. So, what are some of the food items that we can look forward to when visiting?
Okay, so let me see if I can remember the all the delicacies that the Fuge is looking to prepare for us. But certainly pretzels, Bavarian soft pretzels, some cheesesteak spring rolls, and roast pork Philly style cheesesteaks, chicken fingers and fries, and the Fuge has what they call the moon dust fries, which are kind of their specialty. And all these delicacies, if you will, of healthy offerings for those beer goers, but enough to give the stomach a good base if you're going to do several tastings. So I have eaten the food at Tranquility, and it is fantastic. In fact, I was just there yesterday with their fries and dipping sauce, watching the Cowboys get decimated, which was a very fun event. So I would say there's going to be great beer and great food available. So bring your thirst and your hunger. We will
Of
assuage both.
Yes,
Well,
of course. And
one of the things that I saw about the festival that is very unique is that you have a very unique and very different model for the pricing. You're not as expensive, 70, 75, $80 ticket, like a lot of beer festivals are. You're very reasonable. And, you know, from what I understand, you're also in doing that, are really supportive of the breweries in that aspect as well. And then to top all that off, that a portion of the proceeds is going out to Children's Hospital as well. So, what's the model that you're working with?
Yeah, I think Gene brings up a great point because beer festivals have evolved over the years, and it used to be that breweries could just easily show up and be there because they wanted to get exposure. But as the industry has matured, a lot of the bigger breweries, even the local breweries, they're out there. They don't need the additional exposure, but it's really an opportunity for them to get there and interact with the public in a greater degree than in their tap rooms. And then some of the more smaller and more startup breweries do get that benefit of exposure. So Gene mentioned the model. It used to be you would pay this high fee to get in as an attendee. And in order to get your money's worth, you had to try and drink as much as you can. And that's sort of a recipe for for be overindulging and maybe not the best model. Ours is a little bit different. We have created these drink tokens that are tasting tokens, if you will, that people can buy in the quantity that they feel comfortable with, and cash them in. Literally, drop them in a little box at each of the brewer stations, and have a selection of beers that they can curate themselves, going from brewery to brewery. And as Gene mentioned, the end result is we can generate revenue that goes back to the brewers, but also to our charitable partner, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So it's really a win, win, and win. It's a win for the goers, a win for the breweries, a win for the event people too, but also the charity. So I think that is a model we'd like to test, and we think people are going to enjoy it. I've kind of focus grouped it with a couple people, and they're like, "Yeah, that's a great idea because I want to bring my friend, and he or she doesn't drink that much, and so this would be perfect." I do think that it's not only a good revenue model for breweries and the event, but also promotes maybe a little more restraint in how you celebrate at the festival.
Of course. And now with the tokens and the samples that they're, choosing all from the different vendors that are there, how big of a pour is the each token associated with?
So typically, a beer festival pour is a 4 ounce glass. So each festival goer will get a 4-ounce glass, and a lot of times as you get into further tastings, people will say, give me a half pour or whatever when if you're doing 10 or 12 tastings, because those 4 ounces will add up quickly. Every three is a can of beer. So those 4 ounces are really good. And there's almost people like wine connoisseurs that will take a couple sips, and there's places where you can dump the rest of your beer, and water stations where you can clean it out at some places, which we'll have as well, and go on to the next. So it's really, we say it's about quality, not quantity.
And also to note off of that, because you're getting different breweries that are coming in and, offering these samples, you don't know what the ABV is. So that that 4-ounce pour, which equates to, one full beer, could also, be anywheres from a 4 point, I think 2 is the lowest I've ever seen an ABV at, to who knows how high of an ABV for, like a stout, like our previous guest had come on, was a stout, but a low ABV stout. Most stouts that I know are higher in ABV, or you could have like a triple or, something to that matter. So, also pay attention to that.
Yeah, I think you've got some double IPAs and imperial stouts and other specialty and Belgians that can get up there in double digits. So a 4-ounce beer is almost like drinking a full can of Bud. And I would not encourage you to drink a can of Bud, but come and have some better beers at this beer festival. The diversity, I think, is really interesting, and most, I think, of the brewers will give you a heads up. Some of them, when on their signs where they describe their beers, will provide the ABV, or like my beer buddies and I like to say, the octane of each beer, so you can gauge accordingly.
Of course. Now, along with the obviously, going there and attending and enjoying a variety of beers to taste and the menu items that you guys are offering, are there any other things that people can look forward to? Is there live music? Are there, the oversized adult, Jenga and tic-tac-toe or whatever that where you drop the big chip in and
Oh, the Connect Four,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the Connect Four. Like, are we looking forward to anything outside of that?
Oh, of course. There will be music for sure. You got to have music at a beer festival, and I think the venue of the Fuge, the actual tasting floor, if you will, is circular. So you can kind of go around and around, which is kind of fun. So there really is no beginning and end. It's like a never-ending story. But we'll have music in one section and food with the other. There'll be interactive games. There's an interactive trivia game. There's going to be mini cornhole tournaments. There is a Papa Shot. There are a beer stein challenge where you have to hold the beer stein out. And all of these are fun activities that people in between tastings can enjoy, get a little break from going to the different beer stations. And there's an opportunity for them to win some free tokens as well. So there is definitely a music and fun element to the event. We also have a VIP portion of the event, which, like most beer events, the Beer Bash will have an hour open early for VIPs, so they can get in and talk to the brewers and have a more intimate conversation without having people lined up behind them. And we also look to get some beers that will not be available to the general public in general admission, that they will have a chance to taste and have conversations with the brewers, and maybe some appetizers for them to munch on as part of that VIP. So there is a number of different activities that I think will keep people very happy and engaged beyond just the beer, which I think is always a good formula for a real event, a bash, a party, and not just about drinking as much beer as possible, which is not a model that we want to support. We like people to be just a little more discriminating about what they like and be able to relax a little bit. And we think this will do that.
Of course. Now, with the VIP entrance fee, is there any VIP tours of the Fuge considering where it's located in its history?
I think that can be arranged. You're really where we are. The VIP lounge, if you will, is up off the main floor, and there's an opportunity for them, I believe, to see the control room, and you can get a real good peek at the gondola from there, which is literally the capsule where they spun Alan Shepard and John Glenn and all the the Mercury and Apollo astronauts, and it gives you a chill to see that within an arm's distance, this is where that happened. And that's especially interesting because this year is the 55th anniversary of the moon landing. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. I didn't know that.
Now you do. This is an informative event as well. So you get a little history, you get a little local beer, music, and food.
Of course. And so I also want to, just let our listeners know where can they find the tickets? Where can they find how to attend the event?
So we are using this technology called the World Wide Web. It's amazing if you've seen it. All the kids are using it these days. So you can reach us at www.bucks, B-U-C-K-S, beer bash, bucksbeerbash.com. And that's got all the information about the event. There's links to tickets. If you're a local business and you want to sponsor the event, there's an opportunity to sponsor the event. You could see our music acts. You can look at more importantly, the current list of participating breweries and distilleries, et cetera, which, by the way, continues to grow on a daily basis. So always check back to see. But it's a fine little event site that will give you all the information. And look, if you've got questions, we've got a nice FAQ section, or you can just email me at info@bucksbeerbash.com and I will personally answer your questions. So I would suggest that's the starting place to go.
That's perfect. Now, I am looking forward to attending. I believe that we will have a table set up, so we're going to be interviewing people live at Buck's Beer Bash on for Food Farms and Chefs. So look for us as well. But I am so excited on March 9th to attend, to be there, to participate on multiple levels. But thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us on Food Farms and Chefs.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I look forward to meeting you there as well.
No problem. And for anybody looking to join us or to say hello, we will be there at Buck's Beer Bash. So look for your tickets online. And we will be right back after this short break. Hi, and welcome back to Food Farms and Chefs. And I'm very happy to introduce Justin Hoke, who is one of the owners of Ya Brew, which is located in Hershey, PA. Justin, welcome to Food Farms and Chefs.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. On the line also is Gene Blum, who is one of my co-owners and co-hosts, Food Farms and Chefs. But I'm sure he'll jump in every so often. But I wanted to just get a little bit of background about you because this is not your first venture in the brewing system. You have, been a brewer at previous locations. So what was that like, learning at a brew, like how to brew at different breweries and, what inspired you to get into it and start your business?
I mean, owning your own, obviously it's a goal for a lot of people, whether they decide to push for it or not. It's something I'm sure a lot of people in this industry thought about in the past. Maybe in the current climate, not as often, but yeah, as you mentioned, I worked at a few different breweries. I got into the industry what I would consider early on for the new age popularity of breweries, and I worked for a place that no longer exists called Joe Boy's, and they were in Central PA, and it was more or less. I had a lot of restaurant experience, and my buddy got a manager job there, and he didn't really know much about beer. And he was like, "Hey, I could use somebody to cover some shifts if you're interested." And I said, "Sure." And it kind of, that was my jumping off point in starting to take an interest in everything. I'd imagine that was probably 2013, 2014. So I got interested through that capacity, and I bartended, and then I went back to other restaurants where we did a lot of craft beer focused business. With the boom coming in, some places saw it and they brought me in because I had taken a more drastic interest. It was still very new for so many people back then to differentiate styles, varieties, brands, keeping up with everything popping up left and right back at that time. And I was navigating that myself, but I was a little bit ahead of the curve compared to the average restaurant person. Then I worked for Springhouse in Lancaster, bartending with them and kind of helping out like off the clock in the brewery, just an extra set of hands with packaging. And then I moved out this way and got a job with Tattered Flag bartending, but I homebrewed here at the house and take stuff in, and they seemed to really enjoy it. So they brought me down into the brewery. And within less than a year, I worked my way through cellarman, packaging, manager, I guess was my title, running the canning line, which was all new to us. And then I was the head brewer there just before COVID hit. And they were really good to me. They basically were like, here's the keys to this part of the castle. You do your thing. They did I didn't really talk to the owners much about business stuff. Because things just kind of clicked. Things went well. I kept myself busy, brewing, packaging, doing collabs, different events, and that sort of thing. And it was nice to kind of learn on other people's equipment and really navigate that whole experience. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm doing a lot of this. I could possibly make it more lucrative by being the owner. So my wife and I talked about it a number of times, and we finally just took the leap and started, I think, February of 22 is when we just decided we're going to do this. And then by March or May, we were licensed and just doing pop-ups and that sort of thing, and got at it. Now here we are.
And here you are. And now I'm a 90s kid. Like I grew up most of my teen years, of course, were in the 90s, and I love everything about the 90s. So the fact that you came across my radar, and you are definitely a 90s themed bar, what brought you to that decision? I mean, because it's bright, there's, things that grab your attention. It's fun because of the play off of the different aspects of your beers, and your menu items can, circle back to that era. So what brought you to the decision to bring about that kind of theme? Because every brewery has a different theme, and and it matters because it's kind of like, it helps with your brand, it helps get your name out, but it also draws people in. So what was it about the 90s that drew you and your wife to utilize that era?
Trying to think if there's like one solid answer to that. And I don't know that there certainly is like a pinpoint or like an aha moment. I wanted to do something different. I mean, you mentioned a lot of breweries do have their identities, and some are more apparent than others. And at the time, I was the head brewer with Tattered Flag, and coming out of COVID, through political climates, it seemed that their military branding associated, for good or bad, a political identity. So that's one thing I wanted to avoid right out of the gate. People looked at it and they said, "Oh, you're military guys. You must think X, Y, Z and believe all of these, such and such." And I don't know if that affected their business for good or bad, but it definitely I was very active on their social medias. I did a lot of the posts there because a lot of it was beer related, and I would see the messages come in. Some people were just nasty because of that. So really want to stay away from anything that can draw those conclusions. Something fun, and I wanted to lean into like how can we stand out? Do we want repurposed barn wood all over our establishment and empty whiskey and wine barrels as tables? That had its time, but it seemed very cookie cutter when we were making these leaps into starting our own. And what can we do to really be different? Like how do a lot of these breweries have a unique identity when a lot of them are just in a warehouse with repurposed wood everywhere? So the 90s kind of clicked. There was a lot of great pop culture references, music that myself and a lot of people enjoy of all genres. It was something that we could easily lock into. So much broad appeal, like I said, between music, movies, pop culture. There's references for everything that we can incorporate into beer, food, our cocktail menus. We have a big mural, a biggie on the wall. We play 90s music videos there. It kind of, once I decided like, yeah, I think that could be a cool concept. And then my brain just started rolling and, like I said, you think the music videos, like how can what are some cool beer names we could do? And, our most popular beers and our core brand beers all have references to, one's Hazed by the Bells, our house hazy IPA. The Orange Sherbet Push Pop, I don't know that is exclusively 90s, but I think of like the Flintstones, like dessert push pops, and a lot of people, they immediately say, "Oh yeah, this reminds me of that." Our house stout with coffee is called Internet Cafe. Things that have references to all capacities of the decade, and it's fun. People enjoy it. We can cross a lot of demographic boundaries. Most people would assume our target demographic is people probably in their mid 30s to late 40s, and that is true, but we still see a lot of people are 21, and it's kind of, they get picked on a little bit by like other guests. Oh, I bet you don't remember this, or it turns into trivia. Hey, do you know what that is? Like, you're obviously 22. Do you even know what this is? And they kind of interact that way, and um, people of older demographics get to share, how this is impactful with younger people who are there just because they like to try a new beer or they thought our cocktails look cool that we posted on our social medias.
Well, I know that with the beers, because obviously you're a brewery and you focus on that. You went from home brewing to you, as you said, learning on somebody else's larger brewing system. Our co-host Gene Blum is also a brewer, so he's very familiar with the process of brewing. I'm not quite sure, Gene, if you've ever home brewed, but I'm sure the transition, from a smaller scale, small batch craft brew to a larger scale brewery of Ya Brew, definitely was a difference. And I'm sure Gene has something something to contribute because he brews all the time.
Well, the first thing that struck me listening is, you know, you went from, getting the going ahead and say we're going to do this kind of in February, and in March getting your license and doing pop-ups and everything like that. And I'm like, wow, that was like a fast process of, you know, really getting it together and increasing your production size and And depending on what it is, in my facility, yeah, we're a little over our fermenters are a little over 9 kegs. And, yes, you get a lot smaller ones, but just equipment and everything like that. So, you know, kudos to you for being able to pull that off so fast when so many people really spend so much time trying to get it. And, by the time they move around, they miss 6 months or a year of opportunity because they just move very slow. So, you really just, hey, we're going to do this, and into the market you went. Had to be an interesting challenge and an interesting time for you.
Yeah, well, it was definitely exciting. I should note that I went from Tattered Flag's 10-barrel, like, state-of-the-art system to back to my homebrew system, which we started with professionally. I had an oversized homebrew system. I was doing 1 barrel for homebrew. And I upgraded to basically 2-barrel tanks, but we still operate at a 1 barrel capacity for a number of our beers at this time. And the reason that we stuck with such a small production is I already owned it. We were able to start this whole brewery out of pocket, like not even savings. It was very inexpensive. We had a lot of people rooting for us. So get some beers rocking, and then we were going to the farmers market, and then reinvesting every dollar that we made selling product right back into our growth up until the point where we found our brick and mortar, and then from there it just snowballed on. I'm still doing 1 barrel, which keeps me very busy for production. Although, as I mentioned, a lot of people were rooting for me. I've had 2 breweries, unfortunately, which both closed in the last 2 weeks, that were just not fully utilizing their system. So we basically did, a contract brew situation, but I would actually go and brew on their systems in order to supplement some of that stress for our core brand products, and backstock a little bit of each of those drafts, at least a few weeks out, so that I didn't have to just constantly be turning out beer on the 1 barrel back to back to back.
So, do you have a particular style that you like to focus in on, or are you a pills or an ale, or an IPA? Is there a particular style that you really like to showcase, or do you really just go all over the board with it?
Um, I do go all over the board, and especially previously with Tattered Flag, we had 20 taps, and then we'd have a dozen varietals and cans that were not on tap. So I really got to experiment with a variety of styles and sub styles. But with Yabrew, we have 12 taps, and I know that this is not popular amongst a lot of traditional brewers, but our most popular beers are probably our sours, and as of recently, people have really been enjoying a lot of the stouts that we've done. Um, Obviously we're following some seasonal patterns. The sours I kind of do more heavy in towards the end of summer because they're, lighter ABV, but they're usually refreshing because we do like heavily fruited sour ales. New age sours, I call them, not so much like traditional or saison styles or anything Brett, or spontaneous fermentations. And then in the spring, what we found success with doing our markets and pop-ups was a lot of the new age IPAs, the hazy IPAs. They sell like wildfire, and I enjoy making them. It's a style that I actually enjoy drinking from time to time, but that's what the public seems to want. In terms of light beer, we have a Kolsch, and it's our number 3 best seller. Number 1 is our Orange Sherbet Push Pop Sour, and number 2 is our Haze by the Bell Hazy IPA. followed third by our Callahan Kolsch. So I go across the board in a kind of a seasonal approach where I'll go heavy on certain styles based on what the weather dictates in our area. You know, it gets very cold. I'm not sure where you guys are. I think I saw like Eastern PA maybe, but I mean, we were just in Lancaster area. I was actually just at Mad Chef, and driving back here, it's, you know, the snow's coming down. It's starting to lay. It's freezing cold and windy. So, you know, stouts are definitely more popular in those climates amongst people that are open to trying varietal styles versus, you know, there's people that like stouts all year, and they love coming in and saying, oh, I'm glad to see, you know, I'll take stouts to Brewfest in the summer because I know a lot of breweries don't bring them. So ultimately, to answer your question, I am all over the board, but I would say that if we have a style, it's a little bit of gluttonous brewing. You know, when it comes to the sours, I go over the top with the adjunct sometimes. The stouts that we found to be more popular have been the more heavily adjuncted. We did a pumpkin spice latte that was extremely popular. I recently did a gingerbread stout for Christmas. We did a Kit Kat stout for a local Hershey feline group, Cocoa Kitties. And, you know, we partnered up with a charity, but I put like 20 pounds I sat and broke up Kit Kats, and they went right into the beer on the brew day. So kind of those oddly adjuncted things seem to be very popular again amongst the masses of craft beer individuals and guests who enjoy them. And again, I do know that that's probably scoffed at by the more traditionalists. So we try and have something for everybody. We do, you know, we have the Kolsch, we have the Helles Lager. So if that's not your style, we've still got something for you, kind of thing is how I look at it.
Well, Justin, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing the different styles and beer creations that you have come up with. But we unfortunately ran out of time, so let our listeners know where they can find their beer for their style that they enjoy at your location.
Sure. Yeah. So our brick and mortar tap room is right on Chocolate Ave in Hershey. We neighbor Duck Donuts, and just down the street from us is Iron Hill. The park's right out our back door. You can hear the concerts all summer long from our front patio. You can check us out. We're stay up to date with updates, new releases, specialty cocktails, daily specials on our social medias. Through Facebook and Instagram are our two heaviest uses. I think my wife does some TikTok stuff for Yabrew. Or you can check out our website and reach out through the contact us link if anyone has any questions. It's yabrewco.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Justin, for joining us on Food Farms and Chefs. And I look forward to trying one of your tasty brews.
Fantastic. Keep an eye out for us we got a lot of festivals already reaching out to us, so we're excited for the weather to break and get back out to being social and attending Brewfest.
All right. I look forward to that. And everyone, have a wonderful week, and stay tuned every week for a brand new episode of Food Farms and Chefs.